There exists a level of calm so extreme that it makes people view you as if you were from another world. Today, you will learn how to achieve it. Have you ever observed that person who never loses their composure? In the midst of complete chaos, when everyone else is losing control, they just breathe deeply and handle the situation. While many are sweating during a high-pressure presentation, they speak as if they're chatting with a friend. While others get caught in an argument, they respond with a composed and eerie calm. And you know what people often say about them? How does he stay so collected? This comes from an ancient system created by one of the most legendary samurai in Japanese history, a system that fosters this seemingly impossible calm. Miyamoto Musashi, who wrote Gorin no Sho, the Book of Five Rings, not only mastered martial strategy, but crafted a philosophy that transforms your mind into an impenetrable fortress. When you understand and apply this system, you'll never lose control in stressful situations again. But here's the catch. This system isn't about being relaxed or just zen. It's about something far deeper and far more powerful. It's about becoming completely unshakable. Before I share how it works, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, and comment on a situation where you wish you'd stayed calmer under pressure. This helps the channel grow, and your feedback is invaluable for improving future content. Thank you for your attention. Let's continue with the video. Chapter 1. The Mind That Doesn't Move. The story I'm about to tell you is about an executive named John. John was a highly intelligent man with an MBA from 2 top universities, but he had one problem. Every time the pressure mounted, he crumbled. Whether it was a presentation to the board with a shaky voice, an important negotiation with a blank mind, or a conflict with his team leading to an emotional outburst, the pattern was always the same. In normal situations, he exuded complete confidence, but as pressure began to build, anxiety took over. Once the pressure reached its peak, he collapsed completely, only to later feel angry at himself for losing control again. John tried everything: breathing techniques, mindfulness, even therapy. Yet nothing worked because he was fighting something he hadn't even realized. He was trying to control his emotions instead of learning to become someone who naturally stays composed, until the day he discovered why Miyamoto Musashi had never lost a fight in 60 duels. It wasn't just about swordsmanship. Musashi's secret was something far deeper and far more powerful. Chapter 2. The Secret of the Immortal Warrior. Musashi wrote something that completely changed everything for John. He said, "The mind should be like water. When the water is calm, it reflects perfectly. But when it is agitated, it can reflect nothing." Here's the crucial point most people miss about this metaphor. Musashi wasn't suggesting you become zen and relaxed. He was referring to developing what he called Heijōshin, the unshakable mind. In Musashi's duels, men died in a matter of seconds. There were no second chances, no moments to calm down, no pauses for deep breaths. It was a matter of life or death in fractions of a second, and Musashi never lost his composure once in 60 duels. He realized something his brain hadn't yet grasped. Pressure isn't something that happens to you. Pressure is something you create in your mind. When you feel pressure, your primitive brain interprets it as a life or death threat. It releases cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to fight or flee. Your heart races, your mind goes blank, and your hands tremble. But the truth is, you're not reacting to the actual situation. You're reacting to what your brain perceives as a threat. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Pressure. John found this out the hard way. He had a presentation with the company's biggest client. $2 million on the line, a room full of executives. And the moment he began speaking, his mind froze. It wasn't the presentation itself that caused the pressure. It was the way he thought about it. The movie he had created in his mind. What if I fail here? I'll be fired. Everyone will know I'm a fraud. My career will be over. This mental movie was far more real to his brain than the actual situation. His brain reacted as if he were being attacked by a tiger. This is Musashi's first lesson that changes everything. The enemy is not in front of you. The enemy is in your mind. When you realize that pressure is a mental construct, not an external reality, you can begin to deconstruct it. But Musashi went even further. He didn't just want to manage pressure. He wanted to become immune to it. To achieve this, he developed what he called Heijōshin, the ordinary mind. It might sound simple, but it is absolutely revolutionary. Chapter 4. The ordinary mind. Heijōshin means maintaining the same mental state in any situation. Whether you're talking to a friend or fighting for your life, having coffee or presenting to a board, your mind shouldn't change. This doesn't mean being robotic or emotionless. It means that your center, your essence, remains unshakable, no matter what's happening around you. John began practicing this technique in a way that felt crazy at first. He chose low-pressure situations and worked on keeping the same mental state he had when he was alone at home. Ordering coffee at Starbucks, same breathing, same posture, same calm. Talking to the boss, same calm. Simple negotiation, same focus. The first week was a disaster. His body fought against it constantly. His heart raced, his palms sweated, and his voice trembled. This was normal. His nervous system had been programmed to react to pressure for millions of years. He was reprogramming something very ancient. By the second week, something began to change. John noticed he could maintain calm breathing for longer before his system went into alert mode. By the third week, he spoke at a small meeting, maintaining much the same mental state as when he was at home. A Stanford University neuroscientist who had been studying stress responses for 18 years discovered something fascinating. When you consciously practice maintaining the same neurochemical state in different contexts, you literally rewrite the neural pathways responsible for the stress response. The brain learns that the situation isn't a real threat. One of the mechanisms that reprogram these neural pathways is exposure to stressful situations. You can't overcome a problem if you don't face it head-on. But don't worry. This doesn't mean you need to leave this video and instantly confront your problem. You need to prepare for it, just like John did, by training with smaller, less stressful situations. However, he understood that sooner or later, he would have to face the demons that haunted him. Returning to Musashi's method. Chapter 5. The Productive Void. Heijōshin was just the beginning. Musashi went further and developed the concept of mu, emptiness. This is where it gets really interesting because it's not about emptying your mind of everything. It's about emptying your mind of the right things. John realized this when he finally managed to give a presentation without shaking. But then he noticed something. He was still spending too much mental energy thinking about the presentation instead of simply presenting it. Musashi wrote, "When the mind is filled with thoughts of fighting, there is no room for fighting." Translation: when you're thinking about how not to get nervous, you can't focus on what really matters. Musashi's emptiness isn't about Zen meditation. It's a strategic cleansing of the mind. You remove everything that doesn't serve the present moment, leaving only what's essential. John began practicing what he called mental clearing before any high-pressure situation. 3 simple questions. What do I need to do now? What do I need to know now? How do I need to be now? Anything that didn't answer these 3 questions was removed from his mind. Worry about the outcome? Out. Fear of others' judgment? Out. Anxiety about the future? Out. All that remained was the task, the necessary knowledge, and the ideal mental state. Chapter 6. The Invisible Preparation. But here came the real challenge. Even with Heijōshin and Mu, John still felt like he was fighting something every time the pressure mounted. It was as if he was forcing himself to stay calm, rather than naturally being calm. That's when he discovered Musashi's 3rd principle. The battle is won before it begins. Musashi never entered a duel expecting to prepare at that moment. All of his preparation happened long before the battle began. By the time his sword was drawn, he was already mentally in a state of victory. John realized that he was trying to calm himself during pressure situations, but it never worked. Once the adrenaline spiked, once the cortisol flooded his system, and once his heart was racing, it was too late to try to control his reactions. Real preparation happens in the pressure-free moments. He began what he called ghost training. Every day for 20 minutes, he mentally simulated pressure situations, practicing maintaining both Heijōshin and Mu. A big presentation was coming up next week. Every day, he visualized himself walking into the room, starting to speak, and answering difficult questions, all while maintaining the same mental state he had when drinking coffee at home. The brain doesn't distinguish perfectly between real experiences and vividly imagined experiences. When the real situation arrived, it wasn't the first time he had experienced it. Mentally, he had already faced it, hundreds of times. Chapter 7. The Unshakable Center. 6 weeks into his practice, the ultimate test arrived. A presentation to the board of directors. 15 executives and a $5 million project on the line. If it failed, there would be no recovery. John walked into the room, and something happened he had never experienced before. He felt at home, not nervous, not confident, not anxious, just present, as though he were in his kitchen, making a snack. The presentation flowed smoothly. Difficult questions came, and he answered them as naturally as he would answer questions about the weather. Aggressive questions arose, but he handled them as if they were part of a casual conversation. At the end, one of the directors said something that changed his perspective forever. "John, your calm is intimidating." Intimidating, not impressive, not admirable. Intimidating. When your serenity makes others uncomfortable, you know you're operating at the right level. Because there's something about true calm that people can't process. Most people are so used to their own mental chaos that when they see someone who is genuinely serene, it exposes their inner turmoil. Their peace becomes a mirror of their own uncontrollability, and that's where you discover the real power of Musashi's system. Chapter 8. The Secret Weapon. Miyamoto Musashi understood something that most people never will. Calm is not passivity. Calm is power. When you don't react emotionally to provocations, pressure, or attacks, you force others to show their cards first. They reveal their strategies, their weaknesses, and their fears, while you remain a closed book in negotiations. This is devastating. The other party becomes desperate to provoke a reaction from you. They make increasingly aggressive offers, reveal information they shouldn't, and make mistakes they wouldn't make around someone who's visibly nervous. John discovered this when he began using calm as a strategic weapon. A client was trying to pressure him. He simply listened. He didn't agree. He didn't disagree. He absorbed everything, maintaining his unshakable center. The pressure they exerted returned to themselves. It's like trying to push against a wall. All the force returns to the one pushing. 3 months later, he was known across the company as the man who never loses his composure. 6 months later, he was promoted. A year later, he was running the company's most critical division. Not because he was smarter than the others, but because he had become unshakable. Chapter 9. The Complete System. The Gorin no-show system that John followed had 5 elements, developed by Musashi. 1. Earth. Heijōshin. The ordinary mind, maintaining the same mental state always. 2. Water. Mu. Productive emptiness, clearing your mind of unnecessary thoughts. 3. Fire. Ghost preparation, mental training before the real battle. 4. Wind, reading the environment, observing without reacting emotionally. 5. Emptiness. Unshakable center. An identity that remains unmoved. Each element builds upon the previous one. You don't skip steps. You don't go straight to the void without mastering the ordinary mind. You don't develop the unshakable center without first clearing your mind of unnecessary thoughts. It took John 6 months to fully integrate the 5 elements. But when he did, when this transformation was complete, people literally started treating him differently. Colleagues sought his advice on handling pressure. Bosses put him in the toughest situations because they knew he wouldn't break. Clients respected him in a way they never had before. A behavioral psychologist at Harvard University, who has studied leadership under pressure for 15 years, explains that people who maintain genuine calm under stress emit different neurological signals. These signals are interpreted by other brains as authority and trustworthiness. It's a primal response. We follow those who remain calm in the face of chaos. The Gorin no-show system won't make you a more relaxed person. It'll make you a different person. Someone others will look at and think, how can she stay so calm? When you implement the 5 rings, ordinary mind, productive emptiness, phantom preparation, non-reactionary reading, and unshakable center, you're not just managing pressure. You're becoming someone who is naturally immune to it. When that happens, when that transformation is complete, you'll discover something Musashi knew 400 years ago. Real power doesn't come from reacting to pressure. It comes from being so centered that the pressure simply slides right off you. The question remains, do you want this level of serenity? Because it's not about relaxation techniques. It's about death and rebirth. The death of your reactive self and the birth of your unshakable self. The Gorin no-show system won't teach you how to handle pressure. It will turn you into someone who has no control over pressure. When you reach that point, when people start saying your calm is intimidating, you'll know you've finally understood the secret Musashi immortalized in his writings. Serenity isn't a state of mind, it's a way of being. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss future content. And tell me in the comments, what pressure situation do you most want to master using the Gorin no-show system? Remember, the calm that intimidates others is the only calm worth having. If you've watched this far, thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next video.